Hey guys, this is Zlewikk and welcome back to series of videos about Tinto Talks. So, dev diaries about not yet announced EU5. After last week dev diary about culture wars, today we're gonna go a bit more in-depth into societal values, which they already mentioned it will be a feature, but they did not go in-depth on how it works. A reminder, it's a similar feature that we've seen in the previous EU games, not EU4, where your country was going in a balance between, for example, centralized and decentralized, offensive, defensive, quality, quantity, etc. Let's just see how it works in this game. So in general, the goal of societal values is to describe the attributes of a country, how it's built. So that's not something that you'll be able to change like that. It's a long-term value that is gonna be impacted by your government reforms, laws, estate privileges, and a lot of countries, if not most of the countries, will be having predetermined societal values that will be able to change over time. And their values will be going from -100, let's say centralized, to 100, which is decentralized. One thing to change it a bit faster is using your cabinet member, but you'll see even with all of these bonuses in this example, it's only changing 0.16 a month. In general, there are 13 common societal values in game. Nations in China will be having their own societal value that is not yet mentioned in this dev diary, and also there will be a 14th one unlocked in Age of Absolutism. So first of all, we've got centralization versus decentralization, where centralization is increasing our crown power by a lot, but also road building time or counter espionage, while decentralization is helping with the monthly rebel growth stab, distance cost to capital, and maximum war exhaustion. And honestly, why I still hate these icons and this style, the images in the game itself, they're really pretty, I like them. How about traditionalist versus innovative? A traditionalist country will be in general more stable, will have a higher estate satisfaction, the stability will grow faster, and the cultural tradition growth will be also faster. At the same time, innovative country will be prioritizing more literacy among your population, a cultural influence growth, faster and cheaper institution growth, but at the same time stability will not grow as fast. Spiritualist versus humanist, you might compare it to ideas in EU4 of humanist versus religious. So spiritualist country will be much more focused on your clergy and your dominant religion, while a humanist country will be more tolerant towards heretics and heathens in the country. So for example, a spiritualist country will be better to just convert the popes faster to your religion, and the clergy instead will be growing faster in general, while the humanist country will be assimilating the popes faster and increasing tolerance of heathens and heretics while reducing the speed of conversion. We've got aristocracy versus plutocracy, another thing that I have from ideas in EU4, where obviously aristocratic country will be having their leadership from this of the noble blood, while in the plutocratic country it will be more focused on the leadership from the richest and most powerful in fact. So for example, aristocratic country will increase the amount of diplomats you get, amount of the nobles, of the noble pops of cities, increase the power of the nobility and the expected cost of the court, while plutocratic country will increase amount of the burghers, reduce the cost of the court, increase the trade efficiency, but dramatically increase the power of the burghers. I've got serfdom versus free subjects, where a country with serfdom is all about exploiting the peasants as much as possible, whereas a country with free subjects treats peasants as human beings. I have an example here, Magna Carta and yeomanry will make England slowly go towards free subjects. So a serfdom country will be increasing the tax you get from the peasants, the raw materials they produce, and the supply limit in your country might also increase the amount of the food the peasants will eat. One thing with serfdom is that, yes, they'll be spending more time and days producing materials for you, and they'll be paying you more of these materials, but the efficiency will be much lower. So I hope that serfdom is also gonna impact that not only food consumption, they will be not as efficient while working for you. A country with free subjects, on the other hand, will increase monthly prosperity, make pops promote faster, reduce the food consumption of peasants, but reduce the amount of tax they can collect from the peasants. Then we've got belligerent versus conciliatory country, which is more about the diplomacy. So belligerent country will just not care about the opinion of the others, while conciliatory will be mostly working on the diplomatic areas of cooperation with other countries. So belligerent will create casus belli faster, get cheaper wars core cost and faster spy network construction, but the diplomat will be smaller, while the consular country will increase the efficiency of the cabinet, loyalty of subjects, improve the diplomatic reputation, but casus belli will be far more difficult to create. Well, you can pretty much choose if you want to go really aggressive expansion and conquering the other territories, or you want to go and play diplomatically, create subjects, have more subjects, have a lot of allies, but not expand as much. So pretty much they should name it tall or wide gameplay. Quality versus quantity, obviously. It's about amount of the troops versus their quality. There's not much to explain, but how about the modifiers? A country that leans towards quality will have morale recover faster, gain a bonus to military tactics and have far higher initiative, but the maintenance cost will be higher. A country which favors quantity will have higher possible frontage, cheaper armies, less food consumed by armies, but the initiative will be far worse in the battle. Honestly, I'm not sure about the frontage impact of this. Why would an army with lower quality, which is the quantity army, be able to use a higher frontage? Doesn't make much sense. Your army is worse. Why they should be better in this aspect? And I've got offensive versus defensive, where offensive gives us movement, speed, siege ability, assault ability, but reduces significantly your forward defense, while defensive is reducing your movement speed, but it gives you a lot of defense, combat speed and fortification maintenance. This gives a lot of possibilities on how you build up your country, especially for the multiplayer game. Land versus naval. A country focused on land is usually a country without too much of coastline, where a naval focused one may be those that values its coastline more than the others. Here we have actively wanted to avoid military only attributes, as their 99% would always go land. That's right. That's good. Land country will trace proximity quick over land. The trade over land have larger RGOs, but the trade over sea is more expensive. While naval country will trace proximity quicker over water, trade over water, maritime presence is faster, but the trade over land is more expensive. So you see, these modifiers are rather not focused on your military, but rather on the economy. We've got a capital economy versus traditional economy, which seems a bit new. A capital economy country will have cheaper buildings, lower bank interest rates and higher production efficiency, while food production is reduced, while a traditional country will produce more raw materials, produce more food and have higher population capacity, but buildings will be more expensive. Individualism versus communalism. A country based on individualism will get more exceptional characters, while one focused on communalism is all about the greater good of society. So individualist is higher morale of its armies and navies, far faster migration speed, but slightly lower state satisfaction, while communalism will be all about the satisfaction threshold for pops to join rebels, cheaper to revoke privileges from your states, and a slightly higher state satisfaction, but pops will migrate slower. Mercantilism versus free trade. Well, maybe mercantilism will finally do something, because it's a really silly modifier and that does not make much sense in the current EU4, where we see mercantilism is giving us trade maintenance, a lower trade efficiency but just 1%, a high market protection and a higher cost of export from the market, while free trade is more trade advantage, 1% trade efficiency, 25% reduced market protection, but the burger's trade capacity is 100% higher. I'm not sure how the trade things work in EU5, but this seems not as good as the modifiers and the other society values that I've heard. We've got outward versus inward, where an outward country focuses more on interactive other countries, while an inward country looks inside its borders. An outward country will have a higher power projection, higher diplomatic capacity and faster migration to colonies, but a lower cultural tradition growth, while the inward will have a higher crowd power, higher control, faster cultural tradition growth, but the colonial migration will be very slow. It's weird, because then we have two societal values that are heavily focused on the crown power, because centralization and decentralization did the same. So I'm not sure if that's a good idea to keep the same. Maybe they would like to use some other modifiers for this. And finally, we've got Liberalis versus Absolu, so that one societal value that is unlocked in Age of Absolutism. A liberal country will emphasize the importance of civic liberties and legislative governing bodies, when an absolutist country will focus more on the centralized authority of its ruler while reigning the power of the different states. Okay, but what modifiers it gives? Libera country who get a higher cultural capacity, easier to get through requests of imperial in the parliament. Its popes are less likely to support rebels, but the impact of each state's power from cabinet positions is higher. An absolutist country will have higher crown power, cheaper to revoke estate privileges, quicker integration, but the expected cost of the court is higher. Stay tuned, as next week we're gonna talk about the topic that has been revised. So probably one of the topics where there was a lot of negative downvotes. I think the biggest one was peace treaties. But I'm not sure they are planning to change anything there, but I guess we'll see. But yeah, this is it for today. For the first 20 minutes of it posted, there are pretty much only positive reactions. And I think it's a good comeback of this feature, and it's much more deep than it was in EU3. EU3 was the last game that used that, right? And that's also a good, maybe not replacement, but supplementary to not having idea groups in EU5. Because you have advances that are replacing the idea groups. Remember, we talked about that in the specific dev diary. But also now the associated values are kind of idea groups that you just choose over a very long term of your gameplay. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching today. As usual, remember to like this video to help me reach more users. And if you want to support the channel further, you can subscribe to my View This channel that already has whole Grandest Land campaign, whole campaign from Mewar, most of my Madias campaign that will never be on this channel, and I already started uploading my recent Moscow campaign that is just session 1 right now. Bye!